Please give a nice warm welcome to Colin Brady, the director of Star Rifter, and Matt from Floyo. Yes, come on down. They're going to walk us through how some of these AIs maybe did amazing, maybe they didn't always do amazing, but certainly where they did hit the mark, we're going to love to see, and we're going to learn some more about maybe where they didn't hit the mark and where they can improve. So take it away, gentlemen. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. It's actually strange to sit, isn't it?
Do you feel stand up?
Yeah, I feel like I should stand. I stand when I work. Yeah. I stand when I do my video reference. And let's see.
So that's just for video. This will be your mic for the audience.
Very good, thank you. All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for coming. This is so crazy right now that you're all here, and there's so many smart people here. And we're going to talk a lot about AI animation. I'm a Pixar guy. I was one of the first animators at Pixar on Toy Story, and I got to work with a lot of my heroes, Steve Jobs, and then I worked for George Lucas, or worked for ILM for many years. I got to work with Spielberg and AZ, a lot of my heroes. But at Pixar, what really set us apart is that we were at a time very, very similar to where we're at right now with AI, where most of the computer-generated stuff was slop, galloping chrome Jaguars and kind of girls trying to be sexy, but they were really kind of awkward and stiff and really bad animation. And so Luxo Jr. came out. I was going to CalArts. We were part of the first wave. Many of my CalArts classmates, we were part of the first wave to go up to Pixar. And it was wonderful. We were there. It was probably 70 people at the time in these little warehouses near Berkeley, Northern California. And the best animation, well, we started with the bouncing ball, and I could talk for hours just the theories about why the bouncing ball is so important in determining personality, just the bouncing ball alone. But then it transitions to getting out of your chair and acting. And it's all about just getting out of that damn chair and acting it out. It has to come from real life. And the acting ideas come from real memories. Every person in the world has memories just as valid as anyone else's. Their most embarrassing moment, their first crush, their win, their losses. These are really important memories. And AI is terrible at that stuff. AI is the worst storyteller on the planet. I'm talking about AI. I'm like anti-AI. It's really bad at story. And that's what humans are so good at. And for the people that are like, oh, AI don't you know it's conscious now? We're this close to AGI. I don't think it's ever going to be there. We have life on our side. We have 3 billion years of evolution. We have something AI doesn't have. We have something 1 trillion NVIDIA processors will never have. And so I'm not going to see the battle just yet and say, well, there are jobs. So what we're doing here, and I'm very thankful to Ken Nakata, Amazon, that brought us together.
Matt, Jessica,
they're here tonight. And these guys, thank you. The Floyo guys, going to Amazon, part of Pitch Lab, which Ken Nakata started, was all about, hey, what kind of idea do you have? I think they said they want a Pixar guy to try to make a film using a way that Pixar would do it. And so I wasn't sure what team I was going to be working with. It's all about the team. And so I met these guys, and it's very yin-yang, I suppose. Like I'm kind of the wacky, crazy guy, and they're the organized one. And so there's a really great chemistry here. I love these guys to death. And they were able to always kind of keep me in check. And very simply put, is they were able to take my characters and keep them on model, keep them grounded, to train the Laura and train it on model and keep the characters consistent, and allow me to act out every shot. And even before, what you're not seeing in those videos, I took images, I created simple models in Meshi, I blocked it out in Maya, I did all the layout.
You'll see it in there.
Oh, good. So anyway, so these guys really helped keep it consistent. And I use all the tools. People's like, what AI do you use? I kind of use them all. So these guys really helped guide the way. And it was only last week that I said, okay, tell me, realistically, what percentage of our film was done with Wan? He said, about 75%.
Yeah.
So 75% is because I'm a big video-to-video guy. I want everything to be either puppeteer, acted, blocked out in Maya, blocked out by an animator. And these guys help make it happen.
Just trying to make you happy, honestly.
Very difficult to do.
It's super hard.
Very tortured.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I think you covered most of it. I think everyone here is kind of here because we want to know how this was done, essentially. So I'm kind of here to kind of nerd out a little bit and give you a peek behind the hood of sort of the process that we had working with Colin, with Amazon, and honestly, just you're going to see so much. You're going to see it. So I'm going to just jump in. Let me see. Let me just scoot over here. One thing I wanted to mention before we played the actual. Well, we're going to do a little sneak peek first, and a little bit behind the scenes video. We actually posted like a half minute. It was like 30-second on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, and we got over 70 hours now. I mean, this was, I took a screenshot before, but this is on LinkedIn only. And that tells me that, for a little 30-second clip to be viewed for over 70 hours, just showing just a 30-second behind the scenes clip, not even the actual film, that to me says that there is a lot of interest just to know how this particular approach was done. I think it's very unique. It's everything but text prompts. I think you'll see through everything that we've done with Colin and all the different steps that there were actually no room for text prompts at all, actually. So with that said, I want to jump in, just play a quick teaser. And let me see here. I'm just going to change videos here. All right. Audio. Okay. Hold on one second. Was it supposed to go on Bluetooth?
Yes. Try it again.
It was on Bluetooth, right?
No, just try it again.
Oh, try it again? Okay.
Turn down here.
That shoe deserves to get off this rock.
43%. Your best crash here.
Okay, Malcolm, enough of the compliment. Hello? Anybody home? I'm standing in the middle of nowhere.
Don't go down there until I say
That's my fault. Give it back to me.
classic Mooch.
Got you, you mandarin muskrat.
Freeze! Mooch, time up.
Get it way over your head. Crap laughs.
I'm stealing your shit and getting off this
You'll
plane.
never steal that shit.
Lemon time.
Dex Bramblestar, Captain of the Galactic Current Delivery Service and Commander of the Wall. At your service. Okay, son of a star slug.
Captain, huh?
Hey!
We got this. This little cannon's that big.
Quality reaching escape velocity. Launch complete.
Always nice getting information from the pilots.
Coming to films near you.
Yep.
Very soon. And also, I think the most kind of the coolest part is how this was done. So we're going to just play a quick 2-minute on that, and then we're going to dive in to kind of show like individual things. So here you go.
After working at Pixar and ILM for many years, I knew I wanted a combination of something that was like Star Wars meets a Pixar movie. I wanted comedy, heart, action, adventure, and of course a cute little alien sidekick. I think we got all those things. As a kid, what drew me to Star Wars was not just the cool story and the spectacle and the mythology of it, but the fact that I was able to see the behind the scenes and watch as a bunch of these artists and hippies were in these warehouses here in Van Nuys experimenting on how they would robotically control how spaceships would fly, as well as synchronize that with the camera. These guys were truly doing cutting edge technology, figuring it out as they were going along. That kind of sense of spectacle and pioneering is what we're doing right now.
It was definitely a challenge. How do you take AI, a machine, and create something with it that feels human?
I always want to make sure that the character's performance is driven, especially when it comes to the eyes. The eyes are super important to me, getting every little eye dart, every little squint, every blink, every breath. These are things that you want to put in the character's performance that are often overlooked.
So we added on top of existing systems and built new tools in order to translate real-life performances into these beautiful characters that convey the same level of emotions as our actors. We also created workflows that enable us to have very selective control so we can keep the essence of what's working in the performances and ignore what doesn't. So we're left with detailed characters full of life that stay consistent across shots and angles that are able to have physical interactions with real objects and other characters.
Initially, we said, how do we create this 6-minute pilot with as few characters as possible, in as few environments as possible that still tell a story? So we ended up with a middle-aged guy, a tough 8-year-old girl, and a lovable alien named Mooch. But also we had a spaceship called Wallaby, and that had to be kind of our one fault. It had a gritty and powerful. And then we had a new alien environment called Orcus Prime. And this environment has kind of a bit of a truck stop mixed with an old abandoned military site. I also created a simple 3D model in Maya where I would block out the environment and go on a virtual location scouting to figure out exactly the plan of which angles I would shoot and making sure that my staging was correct. Keeping the humans driving this AI process is essential to not just making a good product, but I think it's what we really need in this world, to not just let AI take the wheel. AI doesn't have heart. It doesn't have humanity. That only comes from humans. As far as we can tell, only humans can bring this sense of soul and authenticity to the process. Woo!
Where are we here? Let's give it up for Colin's acting.
I always like to say I'm the only person I could find at 2 a.m. to do these things. So, and I'm very cheap, by the way.
So I mentioned we were going to nerd out a little bit. I did want to kind of get into some substance and talk about the production process a little bit. So what you're seeing here is sort of a simplified, I would say, process, a pipeline of how we basically kind of honor the time-honored tradition of the art development, the character development, and being really true to that whole process through all the way to the end. And we're going to just kind of break apart each step a little bit so you can see sort of every step of the way how we did it. All right. The first thing I want to do though was mention the process and the approach of how we're kind of approaching it based on, I would say, Colin's, what's the word? Scrutiny, or I would say there's so much that you want to try to do at every single step of the way. And so to do that, we want to be able to harness basically the best that AI has for us at all times, which means that we want to have a way to use any Gen AI model, open and closed source, including Wan, which has been a particular favorite of ours. And to do that, we use workflows. And I'm curious, does anyone here know what workflows are? All right, raise your hand. Is there anyone who doesn't know what workflows are? Oh, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna skip across that part. But basically, you guys know that with workflows, you can essentially build exactly what you need. And in Colin's case, we had to build basically everything from scratch or modified because there's so many parts, and we'll go through each one of them, where we needed to essentially, make him happy. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's like several categories, but when I approached this, I said I kind of wanted to break the system. I'm always just trying to break it. Like, I don't want to work with what's comfortable. I wanted to do something with real dramatic moments, with action moments, with comedic moments, with really cool camera moves. So it was kind of designed to try to see where the holes were, to see where it broke. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I would have thought I would have motion captured this on a 3D stage using an Unreal performance capture setup with cartoony characters, and then going back in and blocking out the camera, and then throwing that into video to video. That was my plan 6 months ago. Along the way, these guys changed everything when they showed that I could go right from video right to the final character, skipping the 3D stage of rigging a character. So now I still like to make some models to get all my camera moves figured out and the geography. Yeah. But that saved so much. You probably don't have the Jim Gaffigan test, but they did a test.
Oh, it's in there. Yeah.
Is it in there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep going.
And anyway, that blew me away. That was the test where I said, okay, can you do a Pixar-style character with just my body motion alone, and make sure the faces are big and the eyes are big and very expressive? Yeah. And that's kind of what convinced me, and it made the whole thing work.
Yeah, there was a lot of R&D. I'm going to take you through some of those explorations as well. And then finally, you want to be able to take those workflows and kind of surface those up into easy to use, essentially, apps that we do on Floyo, essentially. So that's what we do here. Make them really easy and essentially offer the sort of entire flexibility of the open source ecosystem to do amazing work like with Colin. And so this is sort of the infrastructure and the approach that we took to essentially accommodate the entire pipeline that we're going to talk about. Here's just a quick look at what that actually looks like on Floyo here. So we have all the workflows that we use throughout the production pipeline. Each one of them you can kind of just click on, for instance, and this is amazing for actually production teams. So if you're like an enterprise, if you're a large production team, or just a team of 2 or 3 people, what this allows you to do is really kind of coordinate, share information, and be on the same page, and always make sure that the latest workflow that your team has developed is available for all your artists across the board. And so we took this system that we developed, and I kind of want to take you through each one of the little steps and what we did. So first off, the visual development and art department. We wanted to make sure that Colin came in with like amazing designs. I'll show a few more of these. We had Dex, right? And you want to talk about Dex? Your vision for
Well,
Dex.
yeah, I mean, I guess I was always just trying to find this hybrid between like Muppety characters. I was always very interested in Muppets. And they're very graphic and simple, and then but a very detailed environment. So kind of in the spirit of a yin-yang kind of approach, I always like areas of smoothness contrasted with areas of a lot of detail. And so I liked that the character's face was somewhat simple and the proportions are simple. George Lucas had the same philosophy with the spaceships in Star Wars. Very simple graphic shapes, but lots of details within those shapes. And so I guess I kind of start with kind of a Muppet mentality. And then this guy it's kind of a, Chewbacca, E.T. This is probably too E.T. And it maybe he got a little too gross, a little too old, I think.
He got cute, though. He got cute, though.
Yeah, then he got cuter. Ken helped influence that and got a little cuter. And then the girl, I've always just liked tough girl characters. So I had a lot to do with Jessie, the cowgirl, in particular. She was probably very near and dear to my heart. Thank you. Well, I fought very hard. They wanted to cut her. So I was directed on Toy Story 2 for a bit. And so female characters, I guess I'm just always drawn to. I think they're the most important to really get right. They're kind of the heart and soul, I think, of these stories. Anyway, so I thought that would be a good challenge, a really strong female lead.
Yeah. And we didn't skip, any of these steps here, but we did use AI along the way to make sure that our characters, our designs were like literally exactly the way we wanted. So you see examples here like just playing with the asymmetry of Dex's socks, for example, or the rust on her goggles, the colors of her shirt, her nose, his dirtiness level, how much schmutz he has on his shirt.
The crazy thing is that, to my surprise, the more we would zoom in on the shots, more detail would show up. And so it's Wan, it's the magic of this whole thing. It's like, it got better in the close-ups. And that was crazy. Like, everything we've learned about CG for the last 30 years is like the opposite. We're in the upside down right now. It's all opposite. And so that was a big surprise, and I'm very thankful. And I'm still surprised when I look at this.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later too for the training process. When you guys are creating like characters that are used across multiple instances and environments, you definitely want to have a really solid and consistent character design from all degrees of angle. So super important there. So you got your Dex, and essentially here, what you're seeing is training data. So if you're not familiar with LoRa training, we want to create essentially a really cohesive set of character designs so that when we actually have them turning around in 360 and seeing sort of like the back and the front, the top and bottom, that everything kind of holds together. Even down to the logos on Dex's backpack, which you came in with like 4 different logos that we wanted to make sure that when he spins around, you'll see in a scene, we have to make sure everything kind of stays together. We created environments. This is just a little test here, but you want to talk about the asymmetry, the rounded corners, the grittiness, what we tried to do. And these are just some examples of how just by applying a LoRa to essentially, the top row here, we could just kind of influence that, kind of control the amount of roundness, the amount of grit, changing. This is a preliminary design, though.
Yeah, sometimes along the way you need a team. everything has to be done with the team. You need the feedback, you need people to push back, but sometimes you don't know what you want until you see what you don't want. I think I was trying to come up with a Star Wars world that hasn't been created yet, right? Every time you always see these new worlds. And I was thinking like a kind of like a junkie, like a Bakersfield truck stop. And no offense to anyone from Bakersfield, but I was always fascinated by like middle of nowhere, and then you get these junky kind of things. So I knew I didn't want right angles, and I knew I wanted kind of this brutalism, this kind of rough thing. I didn't want wheels. I didn't want human, earthly vehicles. I wanted large, kind of almost Soviet just style, giant machinery. And so it was kind of fun to kind of have these guys iterate, and they nailed it.
Exactly, exploration, right? And this is sort of, where we ended up. And you're seeing that kind of large, I guess, was Grand Canyon-esque.
Yeah,
aesthetic.
exactly. Arizona. I thought that was always just a really cool landscape. And, but like, I wanted
the ancient alien structures.
Ancient alien structures embedded, like millions of years ago, but then still could then come back to life.
So really fun, just world building, and I think that it's something that we can apply to all the different worlds, as we explore the entire film.
Well, just at some point we just needed a map, and I'm like, I don't know. So a lot of this stuff starts even with just like little thumbnail sketches, little doodles. There's a whole legal topic we can go into, but like it saves you just even legally, if there's any lawyers in the room, you got to start with a drawing. That's a very good idea, or an image, and then Photoshop the hell out of these things, and then make them your own. So it started, I think this was probably something I did on a marker board, and then I fed it in AI, got another iteration, then I'd Photoshop on top. So this is probably 4 or 5 iterations in to something that I'm just like, these poor guys, I'm talking like a crazy person, they just need a map. And so I just created this rift gunnery, ancient cannon stuck in the Grand Canyon somehow. And I think it really helped them a lot. If we had more time, I think that I would have made a little more of a town. But these guys, I'm so thankful they were using these things so closely, more than I thought.
Yeah, you'll see from the actual film when it finally releases that it's all structurally and spatially consistent. So when you see kind of the ship from above and the mountains, everything kind of matches. Everything works and consistent with each other. And then just a little bit of behind the scenes of how we kind of explored the world and the characters and the world building. It was a lot of exploration and iteration, and again, back and forth of making sure that we kind of got the essence of what Colin was looking for, and the designs, the colors, styles, everything, essentially. So a little bit behind the scenes.
There's so much work. I look at this thing, it's almost painful how much work we put into this.
But I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
Because what you have now is like really strong fundamental character design that is going to carry through for the rest of the feature film.
Well, in the end, they always have the lore. To a point, and there's a puppet thing they did later, but it was to a point where, if we had more time, there's a lot of human motion capture. The thing we didn't have time to explore was really more puppeteering and more keyframe animation to get the really crazy broad stuff, the cheating of gravity, and that kind of thing. But these guys did an amazing job. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like if I gave them a video of my shoe or a cat or my mailbox, if they turned up...
You did your hand.
I did my hand and turned it into a ship. Anything I gave them, depending on how much they turned up the LoRa, the trained data set, could make it always stay on model. And that was a real threshold and I use all the tools. People are like, what's your favorite AI tool? I'm using them all constantly at the same time. And this is the only time I've ever seen anyone get consistency, and it's because they built a LoRa that plugged into Wan. And so I'm a believer, and maybe there's other tools out there that do it. This is the Kool-Aid that I currently drink right now. I love it. I love what they're doing.
All right, awesome. It's funny you just meant Kool-Aid because I was just watching the studio up in the Kool-Aid. Awesome. And then based on that step, that's happening in parallel. We're also creating our workflows basically to accommodate all these different kinds of shots that he's kind of created in this animatic that he's presented.
Yeah, after building the 3D environment, what I was really impressed, there were new shots these guys were creating, and they would say, can you just give us the Maya file? And at one point I'm like, I don't know, it's like a 6 gigabyte file. I put all this crap in it, different models and meshy UI, meshy AI characters, and I do a little bit of rigging. So the file was so large, but they took it. I made a big FBX export of it, and then now they had a 3D world that they can zoom around and find the right angle. Because AI is great at, it's a miracle in many ways, but it's very bad at spatial reasoning. It doesn't understand 3D space, and it will get there someday. I just don't trust it in 3D space. I need blocks. I need actual items. So these guys would use the data, any data I would give them, they would use.
Yeah, this is our kind of attempt to essentially, when we saw the animatic, kind of break them down kind of fundamentally into blocks of kind of different levels of complexity so that we could start creating our workflows. But there's obviously kind of more complicated aspects of where it goes. I'm showing some of the really early demos here. But I like this one because I think the middle one was, what did you generate that?
Runway.
Okay, you generated a runway. And we were doing some quick tests. This is actually one. And you can see just from like the body movements and the way that she like has that attitude, there's just like so much more life here that we're able to capture. And this is with Wan. And us kind of tweaking variables, and settings to make sure that it's really capturing her essence.
And I don't know if this one was doing it yet, but what kind of blew my mind is that once they were able to extract a skeleton, open pose mannequin of my performance and the face, the cleanliness factor just jumped enormously. Like the model was like a 3D model. It was really, really clean. When I use just video to video, and I love it, there's a lot of tools out there that I use that are just pure video to video, they don't give you the consistency that I would need. So there was just something really pure about their process. We also found the more I zoom out, the better. Like just from an animation perspective, you gotta understand what the hips are doing. Like even if you've seen a character from the waist, chest up, you gotta always keep the hips alive. Characters don't die at the edge of the frame. Everybody's always kind of a bouncing ball. But the more I zoomed out, the better it got.
Yeah, so just another example of, look at her sort of just like emotion, level of emotion, the way she turns her head with that I guess attitude really, and you're really getting that in the right two here, which are kind of our experiments. And as we mentioned before too, this is really interesting when you're tweaking these models sort of to the nth degree. Sometimes the more you try to capture someone's exact emotion, it also captures their exact proportions at the same time. So what you kind of have to do is create new tools to kind of counteract essentially that. Because we wanted to really stay really close to the acting, so we had to then kind of pull it away from the proportions.
This is what made me a real believer in Floyo, because they were making tools. And it reminded me of the Pixar days working with the technical team. I was often the liaison between the animation team and the technical guys that invented motion blur, invented particle systems at Pixar. These guys are that to me. They're this kind of other side of the equation where I'm like, I really need a tool that tracks eye darts better. And they're like, well, we can make a tool to do that. Yeah. And they encapsulate these as tools and products, I guess, I suppose.
And shout out to Jacob.
Yeah.
Who's involved wherever you are.
Is he here?
Yeah.
Jacob's here?
Jacob,
Way, Jacob. I never met him in person. Hi, Jacob. We only talked on Zoom. He made this tool,
he
right?
made this tool.
So each of these little tools in a Comfy UI setup, there are these little boxes, they're code inside, right? Was it C++, Python? I don't know. But they're Python. So they're little clips of code, and I always say that's all they're doing. They're just stitching boxes together. And but he made this little tool, and so that gave me the trust. And I have a handful of little tools I want to create that no one is doing. No one has really solved eyes to the degree that I want. But we have a plan.
Yeah, but we have a plan. Actually, when we have a workflow for that too.
Yeah, that's right.
There was a workflow for that.
Oh, that's right. It finally came through.
Yeah. Right? Here's one of the Jim Gaffigan tests that you mentioned here. And one of the challenges is that you came in wanting to be able to drive the body and the face independently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was sort of, I think that was one of the challenges we had to solve, right?
Well, I said, can you guys do this? They said no, and then they did it the next day. So I use that as a threshold. But because I'm a goofball, I just wanted to first say, I'm going to do some broad poses and just go through and just do broad body poses. And then they extracted a skeleton, and it was cool. And I said, well, can you just get someone like Jim Gaffigan, it's just some celebrity actor, some goofy middle-aged guy.
Who doesn't love Jim?
And then they stabilized his face or something, and they put that on with the model up there. And but yeah, and anyway, and these guys can do anything I ask them to do.
This was sort of this is, I guess, a kind of fundamental foundational element that we used throughout, because throughout we had Maya play blasts, we had camera moves, we had separate body movements, separate facial movements, and then eye tracking that we might have wanted to fix too. So there's a lot of elements that went into this. Works with Mooch too, one of our preliminary designs.
This was a real big test for me because it showed me that I could puppeteer Mooch just with my face.
Yeah.
Any other video-to-video tool that I've used, it can't track the character if you didn't have a nose on the character. It was really like I've had to and because Mooch doesn't have a nose, I thought, well, there's no way it can do it. And so this is the first time I've ever seen like them track a Muppety face. There's so many great video tools out there. They're all like, good-looking people and, but they're not really Muppety. Or they're just pure Pixar. There's all Pixar rip-off stuff. And so to get like Muppety stuff, this kind of blew my mind when I saw this.
We also need to get Jim as an actor.
Yeah, working on it.
Yeah. So just another example too, and as you mentioned, as you get closer, the detail. And this is not even a final model yet, but again, you can see here that we have a driving face here, and then we have a body. And each one of those is like really, really tracking closely to what you see here. So, and a bunch of other tests, right? So along with that diagram that you saw with all the 9 different shots, essentially there are variations of those shots and elements of those shots that we need to bring in, such as like object interaction. So here we're doing some tests and learning that essentially if you're going to manipulate an object, you want to have something kind of close to it in size. That's kind of what you want to do.
It's such a huge, it's something we just learned again and again, but it's just like, this is a similarity with motion capture as well. If you pantomime something that's not really there, you just see it. You can just tell if someone's faking it.
Yeah, you'll see some examples.
So I wanted just to pick up a log, and this proved the point, you got to always interact with something.
Yeah, super helpful when what you're doing really relates back to the world that we're animating in. As you mentioned, some Mooch stuff.
This is my favorite all-time test that we did, because I was just puppeteering stuff.
I just wanted to show you on that shot. That's all.
So I obviously, so I'm the clown, right? This is my therapy right now. So I'm showing all my goofiness.
Yeah.
But what was kind of still crazy about this is that
a lot of things are crazy about it.
Believe me, yes. But they tracked the puppet. They tracked a skeleton within the puppet, which still kind of blows my mind. But then it got a really super clean, this is like, it's a little low res, but that's like Star Wars quality stuff. If I had 5 projects in front of me, one would be a Muppet-driven show where you're getting Star Wars quality characters. No doubt you can do that. This is not like, oh, can we be as good as Pixar ILM? These are things we can compete and actually do better than them. This is not I'm not bullshitting. That's the goal, is to not just be as good as. I think there's an opportunity here to leap forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you'll notice there have been a lot of different ways of providing control, right? We saw Muppets, we saw Colin, acting out, pantomiming. Bless you. So a lot of different ways that we're providing control and influence into this, right? You haven't seen a single prompt here yet. Which is really amazing.
That's true.
Yeah. Another way that we're guiding these scenes, camera moves, right? So it was really helpful to see sort of the camera move within this world. Now we have to build out exactly what this world looks like and then move in it the exact same way. Add in the characters who are also performing in that world.
I have to say, though, what's really cool about that, so that was a picture I put into Meshy AI. I got an image of the 3D space. I'm like, yeah, that really works. Then I did location scouting. I went into my digital model and I just started looking around. Oh, hey, this would be a cool place to do a gag. Oh, wow, look at this. Oh, I never thought of putting it here. So I didn't start with storyboards first. In many cases I should, and we're going to show some of that later. But in this case, I came up with new story ideas based on this, mashed potatoes looking geometry that Meshy AI produced for me. And then I started blocking out my camera. And then I gave it to these guys. So it was kind of, it's a weird, you got to be in the moment as you're making it. It's kind of more jazz music composition than the classical.
But what's really amazing, though, is that you're controlling the angle, right, the focal length, just the timing of everything also, right? It's not just hey, prompt, camera moves to the left, right? There's a particular timing to it that actually matches a particular performance, right, as she tracks across this environment as well. And so, what that looks like, and then adding in, her consistent character design and a very specific object, this is the scene that you kind of get, continuous scene And then I think it kind of cuts to decks because they're talking to each other.
But even the data is like, it's pretty poorly shot. It's just me and my iPhone grabbing my daughter before she heads off to school. And they're like, can you do it next time without her wearing a dress? Or, I'm like, yeah, okay, sorry. Well, anyway, we got to go. So this whole thing was done so fast. It wasn't about perfection. It was just moving quickly.
Yeah, that's amazing too. Like you didn't have a volume wall or a green screen or anything. And this is what you're getting. So no one needs fancy equipment, I don't think, anymore. Here's another example of, okay, now you have a CG character in a moving environment. You have Colin walking and moving within an environment and spinning around in 360. This is one of the first shots that he came to us, with.
It was always a Pixar thing. You never want to do just the infinity walk. You get the characters walking forever in the same walk cycle. Walks should always have, you're jingling your keys, you're reaching for your phone, you're looking at something. Walks should never just be the straight line walk. So I just said, I just want to do a walk. I just love turning and walk. It was just, I wanted to break them. My goal was to break the system. Can you do this?
Oh yeah, he broke us, all right. Then he brought Eric, his friend, because he had a particular performance as well. So add that onto the body performance, right? And then you got sort of a consistent design that you want to keep because he's turning around 360. So you have these logos that you're trying to make sure are specific and accurate, and you have this environment and the cohesive, design and style that you're trying to keep all together. And then you have the bone manipulation, right? Because you're trying to stick to it so closely that you have to pry it apart so that it, stays true to his proportions. And so then when you mash all this together is this continuous scene, which is one of our kind of favorite shots, I think. And this was done, I think, sometime in November. So the tech has actually evolved. That's like a decade in AI time. So you can imagine this is really, really pushing things. And no prompts. I don't think we ever use a prompt. Right? Wow. You got everything is defined already from the moves to design, as you can see. Okay, and then capturing the performance. I just wanted to talk about some of our learnings, right? When you were kind of
Ken Nakata, yeah. So Ken's here. So Ken came over and we played with puppets. And this was just fun to figure things out. I mean, before I had someone to do this with, I don't know why I didn't know how I was going to interact with the puppet, or could it go up on the table, or was it going to be down low? You just have to you just have to do this stuff with your own bodies. I always say my body's smarter than my brain. So it wasn't until Ken came over and we just had fun goofing around with puppets that we really figured this thing out.
Two really smart guys right here.
We're just being kids. I mean, it's like we're being 5-year-old kids just playing around.
Yeah, and what's awesome is that that really helps inform what we're creating, right? We're not just prompting, hey, a Muppet just sneaks behind, the shoulder of something. I mean, we literally know exactly what we're doing, the timing and the moves and everything. So, also we have some more pantomiming, right? And some more. I just wanted to show you acting.
Yeah, it's always good.
And I mentioned before. What's so great about sort of the sort of open source Wan and sort of the workflows that we create is that we're not locked into just here's what you get and you don't get upset, right? Like if Colin records something and it's perfect except for just one element, what we can do is essentially isolate what we like and then kind of just disregard what we don't, so that this scene.
I mean, that was a good example of me pantomiming something that didn't work. I'm like, well, I guess my other arm's on the table. I didn't have a table at the time. And so it kind of screwed things up. You got this weird elbow sticking out that didn't really look natural. And then they were able to remove, I don't know how you even did that, but they were able to at least tell the AI to not follow that.
Because the performance was great. I didn't want you to re-record,
Appreciate that. So one thing is also very, very important, even though I did the layout and so on, and they did an initial pass, one super important thing that maybe isn't talked about ever, or should be, you got to get the eye, when you actually do the performance, the final performance, the eye line has to match.
We're going to talk about that one too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I have a good example for that. I think it might be coming up here.
Yeah.
So this is one of the learnings, and I'm going to show one off for this too. So I think when your daughter was recording this, she was looking right at the camera, but that wasn't kind of where Dex was in relationship to her in the scene, right? So
I kind of stupidly thought that, well, I just gave you the performance, you could just turn it anywhere, right? You really can't do that easily.
With the body, right? But you're really locked in on these eyes, right? And so to have control of those eyes, not quite. You want to be as accurate as possible. But we actually did create a tool here. I'll get to that tool that we created. One of the things also that we learned is Wan, I don't know if 2.7 is any different, but Wan 2.2 did not like mustaches. So Eric, we had a hard time, and we didn't know why, but maybe if we shaved him before, because Jim came out here.
Yeah.
And so about pantomiming here, you can push AI so far, but when the kind of setup doesn't match sort of the physicality of where you are, I just wanted to kind of show you sometimes what happens, right? So like, I think that going forward with the feature, we'd want to basically make sure that the objects where they are in a relationship in sort of the world match the objects where you are, when you're acting out.
And these guys are very kind. I mean, I gave them a bunch of slop. I didn't know which object was where. I changed every performance. Like, they should have complained a lot more. I'm very surprised that they didn't. But I gave them a big pile of garbage.
This isn't the final shot. This was one of our, tests.
But it was fun. Yeah, the outtakes are sometimes the most fun
Yeah, it's
part.
basically an outtake. And again, like, if you're working with levers that kind of don't exist in the sort of the setup of the ship, you want to make sure that your recording kind of stays true to that. So you did actually here, and it turned out really beautifully, right? So once we sort of had your hands locked, on the TV antenna, then we can really kind of have that match the environment of the ship as well. So so that was our learnings, essentially. A lot more, but I'm going to blow past this, but just a note on the training. It's super important. It's a super important step to make sure that you have a variety of shots and to make sure that the AI is able to separate the subject from the environment. So if you always have the subject in front of a gray background, then it may associate that. And you want to make sure that it's in all sorts of different places. We also did a crazy exploratory on the ship as well, on making sure that the ship was consistent in all different angles and all different configurations, with the windows open and closed and doors open and closed, the stairs up and down, the wheels up and down, even the cargo hold up or open and closed, even though we never showed it in the feature.
And I wanted to make it sure it looked really junky. It's Star Wars, right? It's Millennium Falcon. I wanted to kind of make it as junky and rusty as I could.
Right. But now we have like a fully rendered, like structurally consistent ship now that we can kind of put in any environment. So it's great. And then one of the key steps that we wanted to make sure to ensure consistency is that every shot, just like in traditional, you want to be able to create your animatic and you create your kind of master keyframes. And so again, when Colin was mapping out his shots and taking screenshots within Maya, we wanted to make sure that we could capture that with our character designs. So you can just kind of see a few different comparisons between the layout and the final frame. But again, staying very true to the space and to what's happening in there. And a quick note also, it looked easy. It's almost like people might think that it's just kind of hit a button. But there's a lot of kind of development involved into making sure that these shots look as accurate and consistent as possible. What you're seeing here actually is a Wan image LoRa that we created so that even the little kind of consistencies with the fingers and the hands actually play out as well. So there are little details that we can kind of tweak and make sure to stay on model. And then the fun part, the animation production. And you saw sort of all that groundwork that we did in those previous steps. This is sort of like a kind of a breakdown of what goes into just kind of one shot. So what you have here is like all your character designs, your environment designs, all those models trained. Those get created into very accurate and consistent keyframes. You might have more than one keyframe, you have multiple keyframes. Then you have all the body performances, and then you have like the camera moves, the face performances. You add that all together, and that's what you get. And so, yeah, you've seen these examples. I think the team has done an amazing job. It's not just simple video to video, as you guys can see. There's a lot more that's gone into this. The real world interactions, the eye moves. I think the eye shot is in here somewhere. I must have stuck, I remember I put it in here. We'll talk about that. But yeah, as you can see here, the camera moves in Maya really helped. Even if the camera move didn't show in Maya, just the notes,
Right.
And then we can actually make that happen as well.
One quick note about eyes. So 30 years ago when we were at Pixar, we were kind of figuring out guess you call them eye constraints, eye targets. You put a simple locator and make sure the characters always look at this point in space. AI doesn't do that at all. Like, it's really bad at that. And even the best AI, it's also trained on a lot of humans, but characters look away, they look back, they're looking at a slightly different direction. Or I'm a real stickler for every little eye dart means something. I mean, when I act things out, and even a character kind of looking down for a second, like, if the AI, if they couldn't pick up on that, I'm like, you guys, I need that little dart. Where is that dart? And then the more they would try to turn up the sensitivity, now the proportions start to look more like me and not the goofy Muppet guy. And so we're in the process of making new tools. We're recreating the same tools that we were creating 30 years ago at Pixar in the 3D world. Now we have to create those same tools in the AI world.
Yep. I think that shot is in here. But you can see some more shots, different types of ways to put things together. This one was a really cool one where we actually created essentially a meshie of the ship so that we could kind of manipulate it in 3D space and then determine sort of how we wanted the ship composed in there. Okay, here's the eye test that I wanted to do. So here's the one, right? So you see here on the left, we have the original recording here. And when you kind of apply that same eye positioning to the actual render, she's actually not looking at Dex, who's more on the left. So what we created is a way to capture an additional performance. That's Sebastian Kampf, who's on our team. He's amazing. And he's actually controlling her eyes independently now with this new tool without changing anything else. So now we're really giving Colin like control literally over every limb, every little body part.
One last thing, and I don't think we created this tool yet, but so a typical animator thing is that we pantomime, Tom Hanks or whatever. We take the actor's voice and then we go and we act out. I usually do it about 50 times, at least to the line, over and over again until it becomes kind of a dance. And I'm pantomiming the lip sync myself. Then in the animation world, maybe day 4, you're now doing lip sync and you tighten it up. Unfortunately, any lip sync problems were really my own. It was a limitation of my own lack of lip sync to the original actor's voice. It wasn't the limitation of the AI.
Not our fault.
It was a human error. And so somewhere, I don't know, maybe tonight we can work on a tool that tightens up lip sync a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to some
Jacob's he's already whipping it up.
Maybe about midnight we can do that. Anyway, so that's another tool we need to tighten up a little bit.
And then I was just going to show you, what that looks like. But I think I showed an animation of that already. So, in Floyo here, we have Colin's page. This is a private page that we, and essentially any enterprise, any company, any team can have their own private page here where they can develop their own workflows. They can pull them from the community page. They can organize them. They can tweak them, modify them, and create their own, as we've done here for Colin, and then organize them in the different kind of pipeline stages that we have for him.
Well, not to mention they're connected to this huge cloud render farm, and so that's also like the hidden gem. Like you can just jump to their page. Like I was always saying, so can I run shots from my iPhone? Or like technically you could.
That's what we had. I think you only had iPhone shots.
Well, basically, like, could I edit a Comfy UI workflow?
Oh yeah, you
from
can.
my iPhone and launch one of these shots from my iPhone because you're just connecting to a window.
Right.
And then of course anywhere in the world, everyone would be all connected. So, this is a wonderful thing you guys have built.
So that's the system here.
Yeah.
And I think we have one more to show, right?
Yeah. So what was exciting about this little message I put in a bottle and I threw out in the ocean, is starting to attract some real talented people in the industry. If I was going to say, if I was going to start this with a story, I would say, there's a bunch of animators and they all got laid off. The end. And it's not a very good story, right? It doesn't have 3 acts and doesn't have, it doesn't have a good ending. And so the ending is that there's so many great talented artists that are out of work. It's shocking. And way before AI came to the picture, animation has left LA and it's gone everywhere else. And so how do we get it back? I don't think it's laws or outlawing AI or even tax rebates. I don't think will help much. I think it's dramatically changing the model, like by a lot. Can we take a $100 million looking film and make it for $10 million? That's the kind of scale we need. It's not just like incrementally. We can do it for 90 million. We gotta break the system, and so this kind of movie that you just saw, probably, if you just did the numbers, it probably could be made for $10 million. It probably could be a $10 million feature. Now, probably the first one would be $15 million. But the goal is, can we make many of these things? Can you make 5 of these things? Can we get these down to $5 million a feature? I was saying,
But keep the humanity, but keep all
but
the
everything
all the
has to be
elements.
driven by humans and story. And so I had a couple of old Pixar friends reach out to me. These guys are rock stars, and I love them dearly. And when I was directing on Toy Story 2, they were there, and so they came to me and they said, "We got the storyboard we've created. We have nowhere to animate it." And so I said, "Let me take a look." And it was great. It's like every frame is hand drawn. The story is completely crafted by hand. And so they came up with a story called Max and the Mutants, and we could show a little bit of it.
Yeah, we're not gonna show the whole thing.
No one's
6
ever
minutes,
seen
yeah.
this before.
Morning, Moss. Hey, Doc.
Let me know when 1 minute. Skip it.
Morning, Willow. And hello, Buzz. Oh, I gotcha. I would never let anything bad happen to you guys. You're my best friends in the whole world.
Oh, yes! It worked! It really worked!
Max, your mom and I did it. We created a serum that makes plants grow bigger and stronger in space.
Whoa. But what if this gets in the hands of someone who wants to use it for evil?
Max, you're overthinking things. Who would want to use this for evil?
Your mom's right, kiddo. Plus, who could possibly find us out here in the middle of nowhere?
Oh no! It's the Gregorians!
If they get a hold of a plant serum, they'll be indestructible.
Their shoes are down, Captain. Should be prepared to board. Excellent. Let's see what muscle enhancers we can find on that nerd ship. Yeah. All right, Brad.
Anyway, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't show it, but I just love this. This feels like any Pixar. This has the DNA of any Pixar movie. And these guys came to me, and I was like, "This is awesome. We have to make this." And so, within a very short period of time, I took some of their frames, and I just started saying, "How about this? How about this? How about this?" And why this works, and this is not; these are even rejected versions. It works because these start with human drawing. I mean, this is not prompt driven. These are drawing driven. No one is doing this. This is what AI can't do. AI can't do cartoony storyboards. And so I'm looking at this, I'm going, oh, we gotta make this thing. I mean, it's more broad comedy than Star Rifter. And these are just simple little tests. And so we're trying to find funding for this. And we've just agreed, I guess this is an announcement, we just agreed to join forces. Matt Lunn is his name, Matthew Lunn. He was like a 25-year Pixar story veteran. He wrote a book called The Best Story Wins. And then Ricky Nerva, who designed many characters through, 6 different Pixar movies, Nemo and all these things, did a lot of the character designs. So I'm joining forces with these guys. They're jumping on board, and we're really putting together a studio. And we're trying to bring the best of the best. Since then, a couple other rock stars reached out to me. Some might be here tonight. I won't embarrass them. But there's some talented Disney people that have reached out to me, just pure Disney, hand-drawn artists. And they're like, you're doing something different. And I'm like, yeah, because it's artists that are driving this thing. I need artists more than ever. We need artists. We need storyboard artists. We need gag people. We need story people. We need ideas. We need actors driving this thing. AI is just a polish. Now, someone once told me, and I actually love criticism. Quite honestly, I think I'm here because I want you guys to poke holes in what I'm talking about. I want you to criticize. I want you to give me the best arguments against this plan. But someone once reached out to me and said, well, you're just doing a different form of motion capture. So, okay, that's kind of true. Mostly for Star Rifter, it's mostly kind of human emotion capture. So I said, yeah, we are kind of doing a better form of motion capture and modeling and cloth simulation and particle simulation and hair simulation, and rendering, So aside from all those things, it's just the same old process, right? But it's everything that we're changing. Now, will this replace jobs, right? So I don't see it as, it's not like I have $100 million in my pocket and I was gonna hire $90 million of Houdini artists and I'm gonna now replace them with AI. I'm not getting the funding for a $100 million movie, but I think I can get the funding for a $10 million movie. So yes, if there's anyone I'd say is probably most effective, I would say cloth simulation, particle simulation, hair simulation, and then maybe render wranglers. But it's still very helpful to have some of them on your team. So if I was to assemble a team, I think I could do a film like this maybe with 5 animators, a couple of layout artists, a couple of editors, maybe 10 Floyo people, something like that, and then actors, of course. That's kind of what I'm trying to put together. And so I'm trying to take all these people that are super talented and out of work and put them to work and make content and make awesome content and make different kind of content. I mean, we haven't even talked about why can't we do a 101 Dalmatians style 2D animated movie? That'd be cool. That'd be cool. But it would take training the Laura, motion training the Laura with different styles. You'd have to probably hire, well, you can't find all those keyframe animators anyway, or the traditional animators, but you can find some. So then could you train the motion Lauras on just some keyframe moments, maybe a dozen, maybe 100. But then those will be the libraries you're using forever in your data set. And it's not like the artist is saying, oh, AI is doing the work for me. It's like, it's your own work, it's your own hand, it's your own animation that's being replayed again. And you know, you might prompt it, okay, I'm doing the emotional scene, okay? Use the emotional formula that I created 6 months ago, you know, use motion A. Oh, I'm doing the zip, you know, arcs and figure 8 in-betweens of 2 poses. Okay, use motion number 3 in-betweening that I created 6 months ago. So I see this as kind of I see this as the future. I really, really do. And it's not just like, oh, AI is cool, but it's like, I really think it helps revitalize this industry, which is really hurting right now. It still needs content, and we have a lot of stories to tell, and there's a lot of ideas in this room. And so I just see this as a way, I just want to be an open book. If I could just teach the stuff full time and say, you do it. You know, I don't want this just to be the me show, acting this stuff out. I want this to be the you show. And so there's several people here with really good ideas, and that's what I'm really trying to encourage and teach. And there needs to be education. If I was to teach courses in college, I would just say, learn Comfy UI, jump in and play with this thing and get some free, you know, so we talked about open sourcing our characters. Mooch. It would be like putting Mooch in there. We have the Laura already trained. Mm-hmm. If these guys had time, I'd say, just please set up a shot, set up a Comfy UI workflow that anyone in the world can go in, log in, get a 1 month free or whatever the deal is. I don't care if they bring their puppy dog into the scene or their best friend or their hand. Can they make a character that's always on model? So we would then say, we'll review these shots, we'll give you artistic feedback, but we're also secretly auditioning for who are the best and brightest in the entire world. I don't care where they are on the planet. They would then be part of the team that we're assembling to make these movies. So that's the plan. And I welcome feedback and disagreements, quite frankly. Yeah.
I know you were offering for comments and etc.
Please.
I think we're done. Perfect timing.
Do you already have a space where you're creating community to sort of provide for that group or cohort of people that you're looking for?
This is it. You guys are day one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the beginning.
Yeah, how about a big round of applause for Matt and Colin here? Unbelievable, taking us into amazing people behind the curtain, getting in there. I think it's very easy to see that we can say they both have way more fun on a daily basis than we do. Like, what kind of work is, and then Colin, do you have any pets at home?
Yeah, so yes.
And how confused are they on a daily basis? Like,
very. I'm a very silly person. Yeah.
Before we get into question and answer, let's bring Forrest back up.
Yeah.
Because he, you know, the man behind the model and everything, the AI architect, the cloud architect, get in there, because we want to make sure people can ask you questions as well. And then both of you gentlemen stand on us, grab those mics out of the stand, and we are going to have time to mingle, network, really talk about all these things. But before we do that, we do want to take a few short moments here to ask some questions from the broader audience here. And the Floyo team has offered to give hats to anyone that wants to ask a nice question as a thank you to kick things off. Couple things that I know are going to be quick questions that I'll just kick it off with. So first question is, how long did this whole process take, right? From the start to the finish? And then, a 2-part question, if I can be a little personal here too, it's something that is on the forefront of my mind that you haven't shown at all in my background's in performance and as an actor in the past and things. The second part of the question is, you didn't talk a lot about lighting or anything or inputs like that. We'd love to hear, sometimes you use no lighting at all. In my past, I know whenever we were doing VFX, the lighting had to be perfect.
Are you talking for the performance input or
Yeah,
the
performance
final?
input. Like when we had VFX involved, it was like we need the lighting perfect so that when you give it to us, we have everything like in a
What are you
certain
trying
way.
to tell him, Joe?
I'm curious, like you're talking about the eye issues,
totally,
but then sometimes
totally.
the eyes were amazing and it didn't even seem like they were well lit. So talk to us about that amazing.
I mean, as long as the input has very clear, you try to minimize shadows. So any kind of webcam, zoom light, whatever, I think helps. Just even lighting. Like the more neutral the lighting is on the input, the better. Then these guys and their team could light it any way we want.
Yeah,
really.
essentially. And the master keyframe that you guys saw, sort of like the embodiment of that moment, is where sort of the art direction and the creative direction happens, adding in that lighting, painting in the light. Essentially, there are tools out there that can let you redirect and kind of change the ambience and the lighting, the color, and all that, making sure that that keyframe really just symbolizes exactly what you're envisioning.
And one minor thing too, After Effects, there is a decent amount of little After Effects tweaks that are done in the end. It's never perfect. You might have a perfect shot and like whatever the coffee mug has 2 handles on it.
Right.
So After Effects artists are very valuable still to just go in and just polish the shots and tweak them.
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, jump up there for us. Come on, I'm going to hand you the mic. You can jump right in the middle. And let's take the first question. If you guys want to kick it off, tell us how long it took, and then we'll grab the first question.
When did this start? Ken, when did this start? Matt? I don't know. October?
Roughly September.
September-ish?
Officially kicked off in October, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was just, I wanted like 5 characters in this, and Ken was like, no, let's just do 3 characters, and I think I had bounty hunters in this thing, and so he was really helpful in kind of reining this thing in, and but it was, I would say it was like building a car as you're driving it and figuring out where you want to drive it. I mean, these poor guys, like, in hindsight, we should have had the story locked before we launched the technical team. So unfortunately for them,
No, it was part of it was part of the development, right? Like you saw in that timeline, there's an upfront part that you need to kind of devote towards building your characters, developing them, making sure that they're exactly who you want them to be, the environment, the world. And so that's part of the process. I mean, you can't expect that to all be big.
what's that?
September to when? Like you said.
Yeah, when was that? January?
So yeah, it was 2 months. It was 2 months. It was exactly like 8 weeks. And then it was an additional 2 weeks. So all in all, 2.5 weeks from start to finish. Yeah. But every single process part of that way as well.
2.5 months.
Yeah.
2.5 months.
The actual production of the visuals were only about 2.5 weeks. So the art development part of that and all the kind of the boards that you saw scrolling through, that was actually probably 75% of the time.
That wasn't sustainable though. I don't know if it was kind of very late nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob?
So just to kind of clarify, sort of that each of you 3 are somewhat individual.
Yeah.
Floyo is a platform.
Yeah, it's an orchestration platform.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Colin is a filmmaker.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Forrest.
And
Forrest.
You're the model in the cloud.
Yep.
Right.
So, but you're creating a lot of workflows for your project specifically. Do all those workflows get embedded into the platform, and are those offered?
Yes.
Or are those unique to you?
I want them to be offered. I'm kind of an open book to a
You
fault.
understand what I
Yeah.
mean? Do all of those different pieces that you've developed over these months, are those then commercial products that you're making available?
Well, unless we had a deal and someone said, don't make these available, right? I mean, if I said, do not give my lores out, or if we had that deal, I suppose that could be structured. I don't really mind right now.
Yeah, there's 2 parts to that question. The first part, technically, basically anyone can create a workflow on the platform, and that can be published and then shared with the community. Any workflow that's on the community can be modified and tweaked to however you want, and then put into your own account, and you can share that as well. So Floyo as an orchestration platform allows you to essentially harness any model, open and closed source, or LoRa's that you create yourself, right? Use any model you want, and then with the workflows, or create your own workflows as well. Basically orchestrate those models to do exactly what you want, whether it's video or audio or image or even text, right? And then you can surface those up in easy-to-use workflows.
Well, in fact, even better than that, what I love about Floyo is that they can even encapsulate that into an app. You could make an app using their stuff under the hood, and it could just be like, make Mooch jump around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fu.
Our CEO, Fu.
Yeah, CEO. Yay, Fu.
Yeah, so yeah, the workflows that we used to create everything they see, yeah, they're published and available there's a case study to kind of walking through how to use all these workflows and plugins.
Yeah. So what you see here right now is Floyo Live here, and if you go just to Floyo.ai, you'll see that there are hundreds of workflows, including Wan 2.7. And any one of these workflows you can click on and explore and run essentially within seconds here.
And they're agnostic. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah.
When I first met these guys, I said, "You guys are like kind of like master chefs. You create the recipe, and then anyone can use the recipe." And they said, "Well, we're really more like a farmer's market."
Right.
And I thought, "What?" He said, "We're open to any tool, whatever tool comes out, Seedance and Sora, whatever tool is out there, they have access to and they can use. It just happens that Wan was the best tool for this production. We used about 75% of this was done with Wan.
Exactly.
But they can use any tool we want. So I'm a big fan of these guys because they're the only ones I know in the world right now. I'm sure there are others. I'm sure there's dozens. They're the best and the only ones I know that have a team that's assembled that can make this custom recipe for your film.
Yeah.
So show the case study page.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's literally the package of all the work.
Sure. Actually, yeah, we're gonna send a link in your bags. There's a thank you card. On the thank you card, there's a QR code. And if you scan that QR code, there's going to be a page that you can load in, and I'll have links to all the stuff I'm going to show you here. But I'll show you the case study here, and this is actually sort of the long version of kind of what we did in a lot of detail. Too much more than what I could say. This is a 6-minute behind the scenes. Actually, it's longer than, so you can see even more details. And then all of it is kind of broken out into sort of the context. The full pipeline, and actually even if you scroll down, keep on scrolling, runnable workflows that we've embedded as well here. So you can just click on any one of these workflows here, and you can run them right off the bat. So click on that. Essentially, there you go, and open the workflow. Well, I guess I'm not logged in this browser, but yeah, there you go. So, yeah. But great question. Hope that answered it.
There's another question over there. Yep.
Do you have an estimate, first of all, this is fascinating, thank you, of how many Floyo credits went into this?
Oh, actually, that's a great question. I don't know.
Another question from Colin that's related is how many takes would you do for each generation for each shot on average?
A friend of mine asked me, so I bet you have 10 different takes per shot. I mean, that's way more than that.
It depends. Sometimes it was a handful. Sometimes, it could be 15, 20. But yeah, let me say average less than 10.
Yeah. So, and then my own acting take, a lot of it was just human error. I got to redo them. I don't like my performance, or I'm looking slightly in the wrong direction. So some of that was just due to my own redoing takes as well.
But I think that maybe a more nuanced answer to that question is that it's not just one workflow from start to finish. There might be parts that we do and edits and stuff like that. So it may not just be one continuous magic button, essentially. Yeah.
Do you have a credit answer?
Credit answer. What?
We run actually on a very transparent system, which is based on time, on an inference time, and basically It only triggers basically when you run the workflow, when you hit that kind of play button there. And
so basically, let's say you have 100 shots, right? Each shot is on average 5 seconds, right, of a video. In order to generate 5 seconds, you need about generate 10 to 20 different shots, right? And so you just take that number and you multiply that, and you get a sense of how much generation time, right? So you get 20 of 10-second clips. And that's 20 times 10 is 200 seconds. That's about 3-minute generation time per shot. Right? So if this 6-minute here has about 100 shots, right? You multiply that, and that's how much generation time it takes. And on Floyo, it costs about, on average, about $7 per hour of generation time.
regardless
So
of
the whole
the
thing's about $500 to $1,000 per month generation time. So yeah, just to do the production.
So it doesn't matter which model you use.
That's right.
Yeah, so not really. Yeah, I mean, it matters a little bit. Some model takes longer to generate. Some model costs a little bit more per second. But on average, it's around that.
So there's one more question.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much, guys. Quite insightful. Kind of reminds me of like Nick Park with Arvin, how he would do things like just acting all the parts himself and then give that to the stop motion.
Someone else said Wes Anderson did Fantastic Mr. Fox the same way. He just acted every single shot out. Apparently he can't see those, but he doesn't allow his goofball side to come out like I am. But yes, that was also a way he knew what he wanted. Yeah.
Right, but so it's just taking the technique that they would use since video cameras came out to a modern take on that, and but since it's so much almost like a 2D animation with this technology to drive it with a 3D look, are you doing training per character on like the animation style that gives it the caricatured animation, or is it just mapping more one-to-one the performance to the character without having much ability to caricature or exaggerate that animation so much?
Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head. That's the future right now. So motion training LoRa's is the next future right now. Right now, if I had my own criticism, it's very human-y.
So it's whatever you do.
It's whatever I do.
You can't do like a Bugs Bunny or a Roadrunner kind of exaggeration, stretch draw.
SWAT, yeah, right. Wait, that's what we should be doing, and that's what I wanted. I want to push that as far as we can. And right now, there's technically no reason why we couldn't. So
you could train
it.
3D models, just do or animation references with the same character.
Or 2D animation.
Right. But either way, get that as another LoRa trained on top of it, and then blend that into it or something.
That's absolutely the next goal. Yeah. Barbara?
That was part of my question, so that was great.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. This
Sure.
is amazing to see so much behind what went into it, and to see the charm of animation be revealed in this movie.
Oh, thank you.
I'm curious, sort of tech thing, but how did you approach character interaction where multi-character performance was in the same scene? Or is that an after effect?
No, I mean, the best way to approach that would be to have two actors, and I just usually didn't because it was just me. I wish there were two actors more that I could have called up and got together and actually perform things. The best thing would be to do a little actor studio. I mean, space like this would be perfect. To shoot the whole thing with actual actors, and when there's interaction, getting them to interact would be ideal. Short of that, we just kind of faked it the best we could.
Good old-fashioned compositing for that.
But do you have the interacting performance in the frame, or are you compositing?
You would, if you have both actors, right? But he's acting out each one kind of separately. So we would then kind of composite.
So you haven't tried to do that?
Yeah, so I would After Effects both my performances into the same shot. Yeah.
Good for time, right?
One more? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Hi. I was just wondering, so I think the part of this that I missed was how did you get from that mashed potato layout model to a final really nice environment for your video?
Well, so I guess once they trained the environments on the exact, images, it would just take the mashed potatoes and clean it all up. I mean, the AI, once you give it anything, you could give it a cube, and that's better than nothing. And so having a gross mashed potato looking thing was actually super helpful. That's all you really need. So, and then the AI is like, oh, I know what you're looking, I know what you want. So there were times where we'd need a new shot, and I would just quickly go into Maya, find the angle, give it to these guys. The next day, the shot would be done. So AI just needs a good suggestion of where the forms are, and it cleaned up everything really well.
So there's some prompting involved with that, or concept art that you were looking
I think once they train the LoRa, they didn't even need to prompt it. Like if they train a LoRa on the gas station and they show it the ugly version of the gas station, it would figure out, oh, I know what you're looking for. It would just do it.
There's also a lot of image reference, and coupled with the LoRa's as well, and I think some artistry. It's to make sure that it's all composed right, it's lit well, compositionally it works.
I don't want to minimize. So Matt's the creative director of Floyo, so it was like having this art director, on their side of the fence. Right. It was very, very helpful.
And we have artists as well who are essentially, we're looking for talented people essentially who can take the mashed potatoes, and make them beautiful. Yeah.
Guys, we're going to hold the questions because we're going to shift a little gears. There's going to be plenty of time to mingle too. I mean, ultimately here in this room is the value, right? So yes, these two have been amazingly forthcoming with all of it. Love to see all the amazing creativity in the back end of how it all works. But we do have some other people that are going to talk, and we want to listen to them as well. And then also we want to leave time for the room, all the valuable people that are here to have time to mingle, network, and all that kind of thing, right? So how about one more round of applause, Colin, Matt, Troy, for